Hey, family and friends, my Canadian family. I hope you guys had a very happy Thanksgiving. Real quick, thanks for tuning in. Storytime with Auntie Kookoo. I've got another murder story for you. That's right. And this is, once again, I hate to say my favorite topic because that's not the case. It's one that I'm very interested about. Not only kids who kill, but kids killing kids. Crazy stuff, right? Like, it fascinates me because I can't wrap my mind around it. I think about what I was doing when I was 8 or 9, like some of these kids, or 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, whatever, even in my 20s. Like, what? Not that I'm a day over 21. Anyways, are you guys ready for a murder story? I believe almost all of us have heard of the movie Scream. Came out in 1996. It was popular a decade later, and even decades later, still popular. Decades and decades later. So, this murder story, like I said, is not only about kids killing, but kids killing kids, and is actually the copycat killing of the movie Scream. So, before I tell you the story real quick, if you haven't already, check out on my YouTube channel, Storytime with Auntie Kookoo. Like it, subscribe, share my video, spread the love. All right, let's get into the story. So, like I said, Scream the movie came out in 1996. It was a decade later, in 2006, in a little town in Idaho. Town is called, I always screw it up, it is COPYCAT. I think I screwed it up. Either way. So, I'll tell you guys key players like usual. The victim is Cassie Jo Stoddart. She is a 16-year-old teenager. Absolutely beautiful. I think they captured it perfectly when they said brains and beauty. She had it all. But she was an animal lover, huge animal lover. She wanted to be a lawyer. She was a junior in high school, just 16 years old, straight A student, had a ton of friends, all-American, phenomenal, amazing girl. Okay? I say girl because she was 16 years old. Other key player, her boyfriend, Matt, Beckham, I think, same thing, 16 years old. He's kind of like your all-American guy. And then two other key players. We have Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, who both are in the same grade as Cassie and Matt. They all know each other, they're all friends, but Tori and Brian are film geeks and a little bit off, but they're all friends and know each other. 16-year-old kids. Like I said, this takes place in Idaho. So, let's get into it. So it is September 22nd, 2006, which is a Friday, and Cassie Jo Stoddart is house sitting for her aunt. Like I said, it takes place in Idaho, so she's actually at her aunt's house in Idaho in a very remote location. Her aunt and her daughter, so Cassie's cousin, are out of town, and they ask Cassie to house it. She's 16 years old. She's like, heck yeah, I'll house it. House to myself, yeah. So she does. And she goes, well, what does she do? What would you do? What did I do? I invited my boyfriend over, right? So she tells her boyfriend, yo, Matt, what's up? I'm going to house sit. No one's home. Come on over. So what happens? Matt comes over. They're going to watch movies. I'm sure they're going to make out, whatever. Well, Matt invited two friends. So while Cassie and Matt are making out in this big empty house out in the middle of nowhere, the doorbell rings. And who is it? Knock, 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 bitches. It is Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk. So they hang out for about an hour, watching movies with them and stuff, before Brian and Tori decide that they're going to leave. It is a Friday night, and go catch an actual movie in the theater. So they leave. After they leave, it's now just Matt and Cassie. And just a little bit after they leave, all of a sudden, the entire power goes out. So Cassie's freaking out, and Matt's like, relax, I got it, babe. Just stay here. I'll be right back. I'm new down in the basement. I'll figure this out. He finds the breaker box. He flips it on. Power comes back on. All good, right? Well, now, it's late. It's like 9 o'clock at night, 9:30 at night. Cassie's freaked out. She's in this big empty house, that isn't her own, in the middle of nowhere. The power is going out randomly, and her boyfriend's about to leave. So she's like, baby, please don't go. Please don't go. And he's like, I gotta go. Again, these are 16-year-old kids. So he picks up the phone and calls his mother. He's like, yo, Ma, Cassie and I are here watching a movie. And you know, she's scared, so I'm gonna stay. So what do you think Mom says? She's like, absolutely not. And the only reason I say like that is just being a little bit silly, because like you gotta love him that he was like, my mom's gonna let me spend the night. No, your mom's not gonna let you spend the night in an empty house with a 16-year-old girl. At least I wouldn't think so. So anyways, that's the only reason I say it like that. So needless to say, Matt's mom says, no, you cannot spend the night. It's late already. Get your butt in the car and get home now. So Matt leaves immediately. As soon as he leaves, literally moments later, the lights go out again. So now Cassie is literally panicking, freaking out. Like, I mean, could you imagine? 16 years old. The power already went out once. You didn't fix it yourself. Your boyfriend had to go down and do it, came back up, and now he's gone and you're by yourself. You know, like, I can only imagine. I used to babysit kids and, like, all the time. But, like, at midnight and no one else is around, the kids are sleeping, I'd be like, dude, I swear I had someone scratching at the door. Like, come on, think about it. Terrifying. So she's there by herself. The lights go out. Obviously, she is terrified and panicked. She hears a friggin' bang to top it off. So let me tell you this. Little does Cassie know that she has a masked, insane stalker hunting her. Literally hunting her. So let me skip ahead real quick. This is now Sunday. So Cassie was at the house on Friday. This is Sunday. And her aunt and her cousin, the aunt's daughter, are coming home from their trip back to their house. So they get home, and if I remember correctly, like you all know, I got criminology. Anyways, so the story is way back, and I have so much information all over the place. But if I remember correctly, I believe her cousin was only like 14 years old. So her cousin gets back with her mom, the aunt, and she goes running in to see her cousin, Cassie, who's 16, 2 years older, cool cousin. She goes running in ahead of her mom and finds her cousin in the living room, stabbed to death. Not like just stabbed to death, like brutally murdered. She was stabbed at least 29 times. So obviously the cousin screams, the mom comes running in, they call the police. Police come, they begin an investigation. So they have a 16-year-old girl who was house sitting by herself out in a remote area who is now stabbed to death. So police start looking. She's got a boyfriend. Who else are they going to look at? Her friends, her family members, the people she was with last. So they start investigating. So they go to Matt first, the boyfriend. And the boyfriend says that he was home all night. He left at, I think it was 9:30, 10 o'clock. He left and was home all night. He not only says that, but he has his mom that backs it up and says, yes, he had my car. He brought it home. I was here all night. He had no way of leaving. It was my car. He was here all night. So the police were like, all right, he's got, cooperation. Anyways, with his alibi. But they also give him a polygraph test. So Matt, the boyfriend, 100% passes, like flying colors. So they roll him out. All right, next thing, go down the line. Last people to be with her, that would be Tori and Brian, right? Matt's already rolled out. So they call Tori and Brian in. And Tori and Brian are like, oh my God, this is devastating news. I can't believe our friend Cassie, she got murdered. Yeah, we saw her Friday night. We went to her house. We were watching a movie with her and Matt. But we got bored, so we left to go see a movie ourselves, like see a movie in the theater, me and Tori. Brian and I, they said it. And the cop's like, and like, actually, wait, here's the ticket stubs from the movie. Here you go. And the cop's like, oh, okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I just have one question. Can you tell me what the movie was about? Now, like I mentioned way earlier in the video, Brian and Tori are both huge friggin' film buff movie geeks. And they both were like, I'm not real sure because it just didn't really hold my attention. They literally cannot tell the police anything about these movies. So the police are, hounding them, questioning them. Finally, Brian, I think it's Brian or Tori, breaks down and is like, all right, I'll tell you the truth. The reason we don't know anything about the movie is because we weren't really there. What we were really doing is we were breaking into cars. And the cops are like, they were this close. They're like, oh, we got it. Here it comes. And they're like, we were breaking into cars. So they're like, all right, another officer leaves to investigate. He looks around. Any reports of cars being broken into, things being stolen? None. No cars were broken into Friday night. So cops come back and they confront him. Listen, we've looked. No cars were broken into. At this point, he like starts getting defensive and is like, I want a lawyer. So they have no choice but to let him go home. They got to, you know the rules. This ain't the first rodeo you've been in. They got to shut it down at that point. So it is, actually wait, the medical examiner obviously does an autopsy on Cassie's body. What he finds out is that there is 29 stab wounds. Not only that, but it was from 2 different knives. There was a straight blade and a serrated blade. So they start thinking, was this one killer that had 2 weapons or 3 weapons, or was this multiple people? They don't know. Well, the next morning, the police come into the sheriff or chief, whoever it was, he comes in the office, and who's sitting there, do you think? It's Brian Draper. He looks very upset, very concerned, and very sad while he's sitting with his parents. So he says, I want to tell you the truth. Obviously, the cops are like, what? The truth about the movie? The truth about lying, about committing a crime of breaking into cars? What's the truth now, Brian? So Brian says, no, about Cassie's murder. So he's going to tell him. Or so they think. So Brian says, what happened was, we did go to Cassie's aunt's house where she was house sitting. And her boyfriend, Matt, was there. But we did leave to, quote unquote, go see a movie. But the plan was to go up and circle the block and come back and scare them, supposedly. So Brian says that they went up, circled the block, came back, and came in through the basement door and startled Cassie and Matt, and then Tori just murdered them. And that's it. That's what happened. And the police are like, wow, Brian, thanks so much for telling us that information, but, come on, so 2 different knives, they're hounding him. He's a 16-year-old kid. He cracks again. And he's like, I can prove. I'll take you to where the evidence is buried. We buried the knife and masks. So police are like, Yahtzee. So Brian takes him out into this desert, and he digs up this bag that's like half burned. It's got the Scream ghost face type mask in them with like this blood that runs off them. It has a straight blade and a serrated blade knife in it. And it has one more thing. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know. Because you'll never guess what these guys did, right? A videotape. Blows my mind. Anyways, that's right. They videotaped this shit. Unbelievable. So, they dig it up, whatnot. The cops are blown away. They're like, no, these 16-year-old kids did not videotape the murder of their friend. Yeah, that's coming. It's their friend. So, they're like, no, this didn't, no. So, they pop in the tape and they watch it. And the beginning of the video starts about 2 days before September 22nd, which was the murder. And it's Brian and Tori. And Brian was known for walking around with his video camera. And it's them at school, and they're talking about how they have this murder plan, and literally things like, we're gonna be like Scream but in real life terms. I'm just getting horny thinking about it. The day of the murder, there's a video of them sitting, I want to say like in the library or some common area in the school, and they're like, I'm sorry to Cassie's family, but she has to be the one. She's perfect. I know, it's our friend, and we're gonna kill her boyfriend too. Like, they had planned on killing Cassie and the boyfriend and other friends. They wanted to be serial killers. Make a mark in history. I'm getting horny just thinking about it. We're evil. Like, just literally hyping each other up back and forth nonstop in this video. So, they see that. That's bad enough, right? No. It gets better. Not that I mean it gets better, but more ridiculous, should I say. So, the day of the murder, September 22nd, 2006, they videotaped right before they went to kill Cassie. When they left the house and said they were going to the movies, they turned that camera on while they were doing the couple rounds around the block to kill time before going back to kill their friends. Yeah, they turned the video camera on for that. And literally you can hear Brian and Tori talking about, if you're wondering how they got in, Brian literally says, I unlocked the back doors earlier. So when they were there earlier watching movies with their friends, Brian had asked, where is the restroom? And Cassie said, down the hall that way. Instead of going to the bathroom, he ran downstairs and unlocked all the downstairs doors. So that way they would have a way for sure to get in. So they did that, right? So then they did not tape the murder, thank God. But as soon as they're done murdering her, they get in the car and turn on the videotape and literally like, oh my God, that was amazing. I watched her, what was it? I want to get it right. I saw her lifeless, dead body disappear. It went by so fast. I slit her throat. We just killed Cassie. Like, literally in excitement. This is what these guys are doing. And then like, shut up. No, we got to get our story straight, whatever. And then they burned the clothes and did that whole thing. So, as the police are watching this video, they also see that the morning of the murder, September 22nd, 2006, that Friday morning, they were at school. And Brian was videotaping before school started, running through the halls. And you could tell it was early in the morning because there wasn't many people in the halls. School was literally just starting. And who does he run into? Cassie Jo Stoddart. And he's like, hey, do you know where Tori is? He was supposed to meet me half an hour ago. He's late, da-da-da. And you can tell, like, Cassie's busy trying to get her books together and stuff. She, like, acknowledges him, like, yeah. And he's like, can you say hi? And she's like, hi. And, like, has no idea that these cocksuckers are literally planning her murder. It's insane to me. So that was, I mean, it was very chilling to the police, obviously, too, watching the video and, like, seeing that clip the morning of. And the reason he's running around searching for Tori is to make sure that they're getting their plan together to go murder her that night. The other thing, they were supposed to kill Matt. Like, Matt's mom literally saved his life by saying, get your ass home now. Insane. So, let me just wrap it up for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. But I will tell you guys the end. Obviously, both kids, they were 16 when they did it. Brian and Tori were charged with murder, which got a life sentence, and then conspiracy to commit murder, which got 30 years to life. They've actually, like I said, my degrees in criminology and stuff, and God, it's like humid, hence my hair in Florida. But so what was I saying? Oh, my degree in criminology and stuff. But they were actually, I followed them along the way because they were 16 when they got sentenced, and now they're appealing and trying to get resentenced, and so far they haven't, but saying that it's, you know, as you all know if you follow, it's unjust to sentence a child to life in prison. And the sad part of it all is, the sad part of it all is Cassie and her family. Don't ever get that twisted for a minute. That is the devastating part, and the victim 100%. But on the criminal side is that, you know, following the story, is that Brian Draper actually is, or at least appears to be remorseful and admits what he did. Whereas even to this day, Tori Adamczyk still is saying he's innocent and that he is wrongfully imprisoned and he didn't do anything, which just blows my mind. I mean, you literally hear both them in the video admitting it and bragging about it and planning it and plotting it, and even afterwards cheering and, you know, hooting and hollering about what they had just done to this woman. Or to this young girl. She wasn't a woman, she was a young girl, a beautiful young girl. Anyways, so like I said, they were both sentenced to life in prison for the murder, and then 30 years to life for the conspiracy to commit murder. Now, on a happier note, there was a fundraiser or event created in Cassie's memory because she loved Halloween and stuff. And she was a huge animal lover. She had a little dog named Tink, who sadly her grandfather was watching had care of after she was murdered. And literally Tink would sit at the door every day waiting for Cassie to come home after she was murdered. Like, how heartbreaking. But so they started an event fundraiser called Cassie's Pumpkins, where it was once a year. I think it was a Saturday before Halloween. They would do like a pumpkin donation thing, you know, donate for pumpkins and like homemade chili and coffee and candy for the kids and stuff, and all the proceeds went to animal shelters, which was a huge passion of having tongue-tied of Cassie's, which I thought was amazing. But I did hear that just recently, the last 2 years, that actually got shut down or is in different hands or something. I don't know. Anyways, sad story. Either way, you know, I think about Cassie's family all the time. I've known about the story for years. This is, you know, stuff that my degree's in and my interest is in. So they're always in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm so, so sorry for their loss. And for you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Be kind to one another. You know, be smart. Use your head. make good choices, you know, all those good things. Spread positivity and love, right? Give hugs, not drugs. Make love, not war. You know how Auntie Cuckoo does it. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. If you're on my Facebook watching, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime with Auntie Cuckoo. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Love yas.